Christmas has become a celebration of consumption, of the suffering of the animals. It has become an appalling torment for Mother Earth. For the Christians, in quotation marks, celebrate their festivity, but it is not a celebration of gratitude to Jesus the Christ. By kindling lights in a dark time, for example, by giving small gifts to their neighbor, gifts of thankfulness, that the neighbor in the family may also remember Jesus the Christ, and that from this emerges a thankfulness to the Great Spirit who sent us His Son, God our Father. Especially 2,000 years ago, we were privileged to experience the love for God and neighbor. God sent His Son, the co-regent of the heavens, out of love for His human children. Isn't this a wonderful love for neighbor, which we should bring into the family, into the circle of friends, into the circle of relatives, by giving our neighbor the light that was born to us? A small gift in the joy that we are all one through Jesus the Christ, that we can experience that God is the love, that He never forsook us. He proved this through the birth of Jesus. But what has become of Christmas? Who still deeply thinks about the birth of Jesus the Christ? There is talk about Bethlehem, about the difficulties of Mary, about the search for shelter. But who looks deeply into the heart of two people who are looking for shelter, who knock here and there and ask for a small dwelling place? Because Mary can feel that the child is moving under her heart, that it wants to leave her body. Can we people who call ourselves Christian think into this situation? Today, I call on the Catholic mothers, on the Protestant, Lutheran, or evangelical mothers with the question, have you ever considered the situation of Mary and of Joseph? You too have given birth. What would you say? What would your husband say if you were to seek out a small dwelling place so that you wouldn't have to bring the child into the world on the street, in the cold, and at a time of little light? What would you say if everyone at whose door you knocked rejected you, closed the door on your face, saying, There's no place here for you. Think into Mary, above all into Mary, who did not know exactly when her baby would be born. But the child moved and kept moving more and more in the mother's body, and she felt how it pushed to leave the body, her body, and no dwelling place, no security, no love for neighbor. And why should there be? Who has any love for God? Fear, searching, despairing. A mother thinks, I don't want to give birth to my child in the cold season, not in the cold and lightless time. I want light, a small light, a little warmth. If I give birth on the street, it could freeze. I have no shelter for myself, much less for the child.
Frauen, die euch katholisch und evangelisch nennt.
Ladies, you who call yourselves Catholic and Protestant or Evangelical, what would you say? How would you think? How would you behave? And to the men, to the fathers-to-be, I also have a question. If it is a wished-for child, what would you think? How would you behave? What would you do? Continue to look for a place? Or get brutal? Joseph did not become brutal. He prayed, and Mary called to the Eternal Father for help, because she knew that she carried the body of the Son of God in her, a body into which the co-regent of the heavens would be born. You men, you fathers-to-be, your wished-for child is in danger. What would you do? Would you also pray? Would you also plead to God? Or become aggressive? In this painful search for shelter, they asked and asked. They prayed. And they experienced one person who said to them, I cannot open my door to you. My housemates would all badger me too much about this, a pregnant woman about to give birth. But I have a shelter, a stable, where some animals have clustered together. I will open this stable for you. And she looked Mary in the eyes, and she saw the radiance of Mary, and she sensed that something great was in her, and that something great was going to happen. Certainly, Mary shone upon her with hope. Her child that was coming into the world, at least, had a roof over its head. Joseph and Mary went into the stable.